It's time for you to lip sync for your life. Hey guys, hey dudes, hey folks, hey everyone. We're gonna be talking about something that can be considered controversial. In my opinion, it's not, but we'll see. So we're gonna be talking about if Middle Eastern, I can't really pronounce this. Middle Eastern people are white. Yeah, let's talk about this. Let me check if the door is closed or not. It was fucking not, and most of my neighbors heard me yelling. That's totally okay. Okay, so uh, are Middle Eastern people white? That's a good question that comes up online most of the time. And today we're going to be talking about the possible answer to this question and consequences of this question on people. Okay, so let's get started. Are Middle Eastern people white? In order to understand this question, first we need to examine and address what white is. Is it just a skin color, or is it some systematic culture that involves oppression of other cultures? Um, it is both sometimes. So when we say white, uh, how did this term white come up? Like first, there was no skin color for European people because the only skin color they knew was white. They were seeing each other, so they wouldn't think like that would be a classification of skin colors. But when they came across other people who have other colors, they began to think that, oh, so people can be categorized into uh, based on their color of their skins, because as people are very people tend to categorize things they see on this earth. It is a mechanism our brain has, and it can be very helpful in some cases, but it is also um, very not good. I don't know. So how did this come up? So when they saw other people who had other skin colors, they were like, okay, so we are white, and they're not. They're brown. They're um, black. Okay, so this is cool. At first, it's okay, I think, and they think, yeah, that's just work. That's just how the way it goes. But then by the time when they started conquering other uh, regions, when they started colonizing, when they started oppressing their culture, when they started making their own culture dominant on these regions, it became such notion that white meant the sovereignty, the supreme, and the other skin color meant um, just nothing. When they started colonizing these regions, when they started invading these regions, uh, they categorized that, okay, so we are white, they are, let's say, black, we are better than them. Because why? What's the only difference they have? Because we are white. So, what makes them superior? They are white. That's how they think. And by time this also spreads into other things, like we are white and we have our own culture. If white means superior, it means that our culture is superior as well. It means our traditions are superior as well, and we have the right to uh, make our traditions work here as well. That's not the case, dude. Um, so after all this, let's say, okay, so you said that white people are um, basically associated with colonization and colonization, and so does that mean Middle Eastern people are not white, even though they have some of them have white skin, just because they're not related with colonization? Yes, because white and black and other colors, there's a differentiation because of colonization. Before that, it wasn't a really prominent thing, the skin color, but colonization made it more like on the scene, like everyone was aware of their skin color. It made them more self-aware. Some people were uh, feeling proud because of it, and some people were feeling ashamed because of it. You know, like white came the most uh, precious thing on this world. Like beauty meant being white. Like being smart meant being white. Like being strong meant being white. So most people just like Hitler, they just thought they were superior because of this, because of colonization. And now, let's see, Middle Eastern people, they didn't colonize anyone, and so they're not very affected by this system, even though some of them are white. White means a culture. It's not just about skin color. When I think about white culture, I think of some things that are, associated with West. When I think about the word white, I can't think of something associated with Middle East. I just can't. It's not really. It doesn't make any sense. White means Europe, Eurocentric. So, and we're gonna go and we're gonna go into some other things as well. First, if you're not white, you're you're prone to racism, right? You can't see a white person uh, being discriminated against. I've never seen that. You don't see neo-Nazis, fascist groups going, killing, raping white people. They do this to black people. They do this to Chinese people, Asian people. They do this to Mexican people, Latino people, right? So, but they do this to Middle Eastern people as well, even though they are white. How does that work? This proves that Middle East is not considered white by those who think, like, who idealize white in their head. If Middle Eastern people were white, they wouldn't be discriminated against. You know, for lots of years, Europe, America have been doing lots of shit in Middle East. They fucked this region up. So you don't see them fucking up Europe, right? They don't see destroying culture of Europe. If Middle East is white, how come, you know, that doesn't make sense. Middle East is being colonized, have been colonized for years. France, UK, America, everyone has had their eyes on Middle East because of the oil, you know. So you can say that Middle East is oppressed. Um, I think, Another thing I wanna mention is the justification of being white in Middle Eastern countries. This is a thing that I've heard about a couple countries, and I know it happened in my own country. In 1940s, there was a attempt to prove that Turkish people are white, Turkish citizens are white. Why do you try to prove such a thing? Because it was the popular, it was the mainstream being white. You actually, there was a lots of studies being done to prove Turkish people are white. Why would you try to prove that? Because for years, uh, Europe, America, the real white people have tried to make Middle Eastern people white. By that, they have been oppressing our culture. uh, you see its influence on our education and stuff. That's not right. And another thing that is sad is that when Middle Eastern people, fuck my hat, oh, they when they move to European countries or the United States, you see their culture, their identity being erased. They're in the middle. There is an identity crisis in Middle Eastern people on white countries, white prominent. You know what I mean, like Europe and U.S. Um, there's an identity crisis because the country doesn't recognize Middle Eastern people as white, and they don't consider themselves as white. You know, you don't see, like me. I'm Omar. Omar, you can say Omar. You don't see Omar, being BFF. So yellow-haired, blue-eyed Jack, right? You don't see that. You don't see in a white neighborhood. There's a Middle Eastern family with Muhammad and Aisha, and you don't see them being invited to barbecue at Sundays, right? Even if their skin color is pretty white, they're just not. Like, okay, I seem white. I have the white pass. I might have, I don't know. I have never been to US, so I don't know. Like, okay, let's say I have a white pass. All right, there's nothing wrong. But when you see a cop ask my ID, and when they see like Omar, that that usually doesn't go well for most Middle Eastern people in Europe. And I don't think like, okay, we have a white pass, but that doesn't mean most of the time that we're white and we're not discriminated against. I think this needs to be addressed more. Like, I have ADHD, so I know this whole video has been a mess because I just tried to like conceptualize all the things I want to talk about, but this thing's like really hard, and it's really connected and intertwined with a lots of other topics, so it's hard to just stay on one topic when it's very hard. Basically, to sum up, I'm trying to say that some Middle Eastern people have a white past, but they're not white. White is white. Okay, it's a skin color, but also a culture. To be white, you need to have the both. Uh, you need to have the both. Like, like I had education that was influenced by Europe a lot. Uh, I'd like to learn about my own culture more, and I think most Middle Eastern people in U.S. and Europe, they're troubling. They're having lots of gaps regarding their identity. They're trying to fill in. They're because they are not white and uh, they're not considered as non-white. You know, if you see, lots of Middle Eastern countries have been oppressed for years and years. Their culture was stolen. Their lots of bad things have happened to them. I can't say how many war crimes have been committed, how many women have been raped, how many uh, children were killed because of uh, who's going to have more oil, who's going to have more influence on these lands. It's very tough topics to talk about. I think it's fair that this needs to be addressed more. That I think Middle Eastern people should understand that they're not white, and this should be accepted in consensus. Because when you're trying to fill out a form, you just there's no Middle East. You just have white, black, and Latino and other stuff you don't have. So you just fill in white. But are you white? No. So why is this a case? I think this can affect lots of people in a very bad ways. I just wanted to talk about this. I know it's a controversial topic, but this is my opinion. It's my final opinion that Middle Eastern people are not white. Um, yeah, and I'm sorry about the background. I just wanted to put something Middle Eastern. I just wrote Middle East background, and this is what came up. Um, yeah, let's see.